What's good, podcast world? What's good, YouTube?
Sixers are in trouble. I need a top five.
Man, let's get into best of the week, man. What's good, podcast world? What's good, YouTube? Back for another episode of Charge It to the Game Sports Podcast. As you can see, I'm joined by Buccaneers Super Bowl QB, two-time Pro Bowler, Buccaneers legend, Brad Johnson. I got Big Z. He's rocking with me. He's in the house. We're going to be talking a lot. Bucs fans, we got our wish, man. Super Bowl champion, Brad Johnson, is joining us. Before we get into talking with Brad, man, make sure you, as always, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Leave some comments for Brad, man. Let him feel it, man. This is our QB. He got us over the hump, Bucs fans, in all those years, those tough years, man, just coming up short. But let's jump right into it. Brad, man, thanks for joining the show, brother. How you feeling?
Doing great, Rome. Appreciate you and Z having me on your show and look forward to telling some stories, and we'll see how it goes. We'll have a fun time, though.
Oh, no doubt, man. Like I said, hey, the way I look at it, this is no longer the Charge It to the Game Sports Podcast or show. This is the Brad Johnson show. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you my honest opinion, man. Like I said, being a Bucs fan, man, just those years of them just not being able to get over the hump, and we'll get into it a little bit later. I mean, it was just great to see him go out the right way and put some points up on the board. You know what I mean? But let's talk a little bit about your early sports life, man, just your early childhood. So did you grow up just playing sports? Like, was football your first sport? What other sports did you play?
Yeah, I grew up in Black Mountain, North Carolina. It's near Asheville. Everybody knows it has the Biltmore House. It's in Western Carolina, up in the mountains. Grew up on a dirt road up on a mountain. My dad ran boys and girls camp called Camp Ridgecrest and Camp Crestridge for summer camps, camps where you sleep in cabins and you go camping and you play basketball and archery and horseback. And I grew up playing 2-square, 4-square. I grew up with a ball in my hand at all times, competing against anyone and everyone. A lot of times those kids were older than me. So as a youth kid, I played, I was a pitcher and played first base, and basketball was my first love, to be honest with you.
Nice.
I played basketball from my second grade year all the way to my freshman year of college. Never missed a day playing. Had 6 different keys to every gym in town. And, I mean, I was at every court. I was at my car. It stunk in high school because I had basketballs and old socks and sneakers in the back. I was looking for any game.
Yeah.
And Brad Doherty, he grew up in my high school.
Oh, wow.
Roy Williams, he coached in my high school. He didn't coach me. He just retired as a Hall of Fame coach from North Carolina. My high school coach was Bill Burrows, and he actually coached some time with Bobby Cremins at Georgia Tech. So I grew up a basketball nut, and obviously I could throw a football, and we can kind of get into all that kind of stuff. But basketball, football is what I focused on, and I want to be an NBA basketball player.
Okay.
And but at some point, I was a North Carolina 3A Player of the Year coming out of high school. Scored 2,400 points.
Oh my God!
That kind of stuff. Played 2 years of basketball at Florida State. But at some point, I had to make a hard decision. We can talk about that too.
Okay.
Eventually, my goal was to be a professional athlete, which I chose football.
Nice, man. That's crazy to me. Like you said, 2-sport athlete. Like you said, you had to ultimately make the decision. So tell me about like your high school. So when you're senior year of high school, were you heavily recruited? And obviously probably basketball and football. What other what happened? What chose you to go to Florida State?
Right. It's a great question. I wanted to play NBA basketball. I grew up Larry Bird, Chris Mullin. I mean, I slept with a basketball. I mean, that's all I did was basketball.
Okay.
I was 6'5". I could shoot it. Really good player. But at that time, there was not a lot of social media. You didn't know who was who. And I was just trying to play my local rival high school team. So, but football, I ended up making parade All-American, but I can honestly tell you I wasn't really a good football player. I probably made it because of more of my size and potential.
Okay.
And at that time, there was a guy named Vinny Testaverde at Miami. He wore the number 14, won a Heisman, and that's where, at that time colleges were looking for bigger quarterbacks kind
Gotcha.
of thing. So I took my recruiting trips. I went to North Carolina. I went to canceled Alabama. I went to Virginia. I went to Georgia Tech. And then on my trip to Georgia Tech, a guy named Bobby Crimmins was the head coach.
Yep.
I grew up, Mark Price, Dalrymple, John Sally, Tom Hammonds, Craig the Noodle. I mean, I knew all of them. I was in the locker room with all those guys all the time. And but Crimmins brought me on my recruiting trip. He said, Brad, you got a scholarship here. You can play here, but I only play 5 guys. Oh. And the guy that I got coming in here he's an All-American, and I'm gonna play him. I'm gonna be honest with you. He says his name is Dennis Scott, and so I said, all right, at least he's honest with me, Yeah. And so Dennis Scott ended up being an 11-year NBA, whatever it was,
Oh so, yeah, you're a legend, yo.
Yeah, legend. So, and Bobby said, what do you think you got the most potential in? I said, well, I think I got more potential in football than basketball.
Right.
And with Dennis coming here, Dennis doesn't even know it. He changed my life. So, so that was the truth of it. And but I chose Florida State. I knew it was a top 10. It was going to be a top 10 program, get a great education, but I thought I'd have a chance to be groomed. And by Bobby Bowden, who was at 63 at that time, he's 91 now. I was bold enough in high school to ask him on my recruiting trip when he came to my house. So, he gave a spiel about Florida State, and he says at the end, you got any questions for me? I said, well, I got 2 questions. I said, one, you're going to play the best players. And, I was bold. And at 63, I said, how much longer are you going to coach?
Right, yeah.
At that time, he had like 170 wins. He went on to win 377. So, but it was awesome. I'm thankful for my choice, but kind of beating around the bush here a little bit. At that same time in 1987, the Super Bowl took place, and a guy named Phil Simms threw 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl against the great John Elway. And at the end of the game, it was the first year for this commercial, and confetti was falling on his face, and he said, I'm going to Disneyland after it's over,
Yeah.
And so we're all kind of saying the same thing. I'm going to Disney. Well, they don't say that basketball at the time, so that became one of my passions too. And then 16 years later, we'll talk about with the Bucs, but I got to say I was going to Disney when I was with my son Max, and my wife was 7.5 months pregnant with our other son Jake. So it was a full circle there in my high school decision to choose basketball, football. It's a long story, but I figure we got a lot of time here to kind of share.
That is incredible, man. So you ultimately choose Florida State University. So tell us about freshman year at FSU, man, for all the FSU fans, and then just playing under the great, Coach Bobby Bowden, man. Just tell us about your years there, some memories, and then,
And then 2 sports too. You started on the basketball team.
Right. Exactly. As a freshman starting on a collegiate program, that's incredible.
Right. Yeah, I went there. I went to Florida State on a football scholarship, only to play football.
Right.
So I'm a parade All-American, which I told you about coming out of high school.
Yeah.
I get to Florida State. Now I'm the 7th string quarterback.
So, what? Oh my God.
The 7th. I didn't realize because of social media who the other 6 were.
Yeah.
So the guy they brought in with me was a guy named Casey Weldon.
Okay.
He was from a local 1A school there in North Florida Christian High School. They told me he was a skinny kid and just local kid that they took. They told him that I would be a basketball player. Probably wouldn't stick it out in football. Casey and I became best friends. And he ended up being the runner-up to the Heisman and kind of beat me out my junior, senior year a little bit. We ended up being best friends. He played 8 years in the NFL. Was my backup in Washington when I played with the Redskins at that time. But got there, the quarterbacks in the room were Danny McManus, who threw for 52,000 yards in Canada. Chip Ferguson, who won a Sugar Bowl. Peter Tom Willis, he won the Fiesta Bowl MVP there, played 4 years for the Chicago Bears. Casey Weldon. Later came Charlie Ward, who won a Heisman, 11-year career, national champion. And then Chris Winkie was there for a little spill. He won a Heisman, national champion. Another guy named Kenny Felder, who was like a first-round baseball pick. So, we all thought each other stunk, but it was highly competitive, man. But all of us, we were great friends. We played doubles tennis together. We played golf together. And we duked it out on the football field with great friendships there. But when I went there in 1987, that was the beginning of a 14-year run where Florida State was in the top 4 in the country. Winning 10, 11 games a season. Incredible talent. You're right there side by side with Deion Sanders and Leroy Butler. And I mean, the list goes on. And practices were much harder than probably games were at that time.
Wow.
So
I can imagine.
It was a lot of trash talk, and you better back it up on the field too.
Who was talking the trash? Was it you?
Whoever won was talking trash. So it didn't matter. And then the state where we lived at was called Burt Reynolds Hall.
Yeah.
And it's probably 200 yards away from the facility, but all the football players live there. So, I mean, seriously. So you had all the white guys live here. You had all the black guys live here. Then you had the old school guys live over here. The guys that hunt and fish. You had the pretty boys that live over here. But I promise you, on Friday and Saturday night, everybody would pull out their tables. They'd have some cookout, and then at the end of the evening, there was some 50-yard sprints were taking place in the dormitory to find out who was the fastest. And so,
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was on. So that's what should have been filmed. It would be now with Instagram and Twitter and stuff. But there were some great friendships, and that's why I think those teams were so great, because we lived in the dorm together. All the personalities fit. Awesome to say that Coach Bowden was our head coach. It was a stable places where coaches weren't getting fired. Ran a great program. We were kind of before our time as far as doing the mat drill, 6 a.m. workouts and those kind of things. Now everybody does it, but it was he got the best players and got the most out of us.
Beautiful, man. Z, you had a question?
So your junior year, overcoming adversity, because you were benched and then you came back and you overcame that to eventually become drafted. What was that process for you as a young player at that time to face adversity and then overcome everything and achieve?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a quick little tour of this house because I'm going to go there real quick with you, okay? So I'm in my ping pong room, okay? So I don't know if you can see my posters of Larry Bird.
I see my man's Larry Bird.
Bird. All right, so there's all my stuff on the walls, okay?
Wow.
So then I want you to meet my friend here, okay? We never met, okay? Larry Bird. He still lives in my house. You can see it, okay?
You got like a museum in your home, literally.
Yeah, it's crazy. My house is crazy. I really should pay people to come out here and see it. So it's wild. So I'm getting ready to tell you about Larry Bird, okay?
Okay.
So I start my junior year. And I started the first 6 games of the season, was playing well. We were winning. And then they want to make a change at quarterback. Okay. Yeah. So the change is me.
What the hell? What type of shit is this, right?
Exactly. I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
We were winning. I think we were like 5-1 or something. I don't even know. So I get benched. And I was a late bloomer. I talked to y'all about that in basketball and stuff. So but I got this friend named T.R. Robinson. T.R., he worked in my dad's camp. He took me under his wing. And just had a great guy I looked up to and stuff. So somehow he met Larry Bird. About that time I got benched.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
So Larry, he got Larry to write me a letter. So this is the letter, okay? So I'm gonna read it to you, okay? I'm gonna read it to you. It's been a long letter, but here's what it says. It says, Brad, just got off the phone with TR. He told me a little bit about life in Tallahassee, No-Land. I thought I'd relate this story to you. Remember when I hurt my foot, all the skeptics came out, but I kept believing. Then I came back. They said I was slower, wider, and uglier. But I kept on believing. It would have been easy to call it a career, but looking back on it, I'm glad I kept on believing. So, Brad, a little advice. There are a lot of people who believe in you, so keep your head up, keep busting your tail, and always remember to keep on believing. So that's what I just read to you. So,
oh my gosh.
So you never know what a little letter of encouragement.
Yeah.
Obviously, is my hero growing up.
Yeah.
I got Larry Bird jersey now. When I walk to the park, I wear my Bird jersey.
That's incredible.
I'm that guy, you know.
Yeah.
But it's pretty awesome. And so I've actually become good friends now with Chris Mullen, one of my other heroes. But that was a time when it didn't look too good. My dream and passion to become a pro football player at Florida State, college player, it was done.
Yeah.
Wow.
But instead of giving up, and obviously I played giving up football and going back and playing basketball, which I played 2 years, or going to transfer schools or just whatever it may be. I said, I'm not going to let my passion, my dream of giving it up. So I didn't give up, and things kind of worked out for me. And then kind of my career kind of happened probably pretty much more after my college days at Florida State. But the greatness of it with Coach Bowden and my QB coach at that time, Mark Rick. Mark Rick became my brother-in-law. So
wow.
He benches me, but he hooks me up with his sister. You know what I mean? So it's damn crazy, man. We live each other. He lives like a half mile down the road from me now. So, but great friendship, great respect. Things, sometimes your time's not your time, but I understood it and made the best of the situation. And just I had all respect in the world for everybody at Florida State and the way things were kind of handled. You know what I mean? Even in a bad situation.
Exactly, man. That is great, man. Wow. That's epic. So, Charge It to the Game crew, man. You just witnessed history between Brad's house and the letter that Larry Bird wrote to Brad. Hey, it's crazy. Yeah. So
never give up. Never give up
at all. You know what I mean? And transferring schools. A lot of these guys now with the transfer portal, they, I understand, it gives athletes freedom to go and choose, as they please. Yeah. But I think it's kind of messing up, a little bit of the game. But I'm not going to get too much into that.
Yeah. Let me just say something real quick about that.
Yeah.
So, it's worked out. The transfer thing has worked out for some kids. It worked out for Joe Burrow, worked out for Justin Fields and some, but it hasn't worked out for some either. Okay. Yeah. So I get it. It's a free world. You're getting kids now in middle school transferring to get to some high school and stuff too. Yeah. So, and I get it. But at the same time, when you're 50 years old, how many times have you changed jobs? How many times when something didn't go your way, did you just leave? Now, I'm not saying you can't leave or you can't transfer, because sometimes you need a way out. But also, it's not the word. I worry about that person when they're 50. How many times do they just change because something didn't go their way? Right. So I would stick it out, man. Stick it out as long as you can and find a way. Sometimes it's, what people need to do also.
Beautiful, man. Like I said, it just, like you said, it's worked out for some it hasn't, but like I said, you just got to make, at the end of the day, you got to make the best decision what works best for you, right?
Right.
So, yeah, man. So moving on, let's talk a little bit about, senior year comes, like, were you heavily, like, NFL scouts, tell us about your recruiting process coming out of college. Like, what teams in NFL were looking at you? Ultimately, you got drafted by the Vikings. Right. But tell us about that.
Right. My senior year, I get benched my junior year. Senior year, I'm behind my best friend, Casey Weldon, who's up for the Heisman. He finished second. Yep. If we make the field goal, which went wide right, we probably win the national championship. He's probably a national champion, Heisman winner himself. Wow. So, but it didn't happen, So that year he got hurt one game. I played one game, started against Louisville, and that was my only time to really play. So when the season was over, at the NFL Combine, they invite 17 quarterbacks, and then they invite 3 others that they go up there a couple days early. They're the ones. These are the 3 quarterbacks that will throw to the linebackers, throw to the running backs. Throw to the tight ends. But when the 17 other guys come in, they only throw to the receivers. They kind of get a little more personal attention and those kind of things. So when I went as the other 3, there were 3 guys. It was Bucky Richardson from Texas A&M. TJ Rubley was the other one from Tulsa. And so I must have thrown 600 balls that weekend. Well, those 600 balls, they were being seen by every GM up in the stands also. Nice, the other 17 guys, they only see your 25 throws, whatever you may throw. And when I left the Combine, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought I was the best one there.
Yeah.
I really did. I thought I was the best one there.
Yeah.
But I wasn't prepared because I didn't have all that game experience all those other guys had had. So I was a late bloomer, and the guy that I thought was going to draft me was a guy named Jim Fossil. Jim Fossil just passed away probably about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he's with the New York Giants. I knew they were going to take a guy in about the 4th or 5th round. So when the draft came around, I'm laying in the 4th round. New York Giants take a guy named Kent Graham out of Ohio State.
Yeah, Kent Graham.
I'm like, holy smokes. All right, there was the team. That was one team. That was the only team talking to me. You know what I mean? That's the only team talking to me. And now it's so funny because you see all these guys now, they had these pro days. The other team that came and saw me was Cincinnati. A guy named was Dana Bibles, a QB coach. And I had 2 of my buddies there in some fraternity. They're like 5'4", trying to catch my balls. They're in street clothes. I'm out there. They're jumping for balls. They were in street clothes. You don't
Making you look better.
They couldn't help me. I was missing balls all over the joint. So we still laugh about that. But so the 4th round goes by. I'm like, I ain't get drafted. So the 7th round comes, and the Atlanta Falcons, a friend of mine, Dave Campo, was he was like an assistant there.
Okay.
He said, Brad, if no one picks you up, we'll take you in free agency. I said, Campo, I'm out, man. If I don't get drafted, I ain't going anywhere. I'm going back home to North Carolina. I'm going to be a school teacher.
What?
I'm done.
Come on, big bad Brad Johnson. Come on, man. You never give up.
I didn't understand that. I didn't understand how the NFL thing worked. I'm a free agent. There's no chance to make it. The 9th round comes around, the 3rd day of the draft. My dad and I are sitting on our Burt Reynolds Hall dorm floor. He's laying on the floor. I'm laying on the couch, and my name comes. My dad raises his hands. He's going crazy. What are you talking about? He said, Brad, I think I saw your name come across the ticker. And what are you talking about? So we waited. We had to wait for the whole thing to go around again.
Yeah.
It came by. So it says Brad Johnson drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. So then I get a phone call from Denny Green like 5 minutes later. And but the guy that drafted me was a guy named Jack Burns. He recruited me out of high school at the University of Louisville in Black Mountain. He kept up with me. He knew about my whole career. He knew about my basketball career. He knew about the relationship we built in the recruiting process. So never burn your bridges, is what I'm telling people. Man. So he took me on as a late bloomer, 9th round pick, Minnesota Vikings, 227th pick, 14th quarterback out of that top 20. I thought number 1, but grateful for the opportunity.
Man, that's incredible, man. So, hey, young athletes, man, as Brad said, and just as you heard, don't burn your bridges, man. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great story, man. A lot of these guys nowadays, like, they burn bridges. But like I said, otherwise, I mean, your story is incredible. So you get drafted by Minnesota in 1994 by Dennis Green.
92.
Yep.
92.
Yeah, 92. So what was that like? So tell us about your rookie season. What were you thinking going in at that time? You know?
Yeah, my first mini camp, I get there and the play was double right check with me. I'm at the line of scrimmage like, check with what? You know what I mean?
What's that?
They're talking about this box count. How many guys are the 6-man, 7-man? I don't get it, man. You know what I mean? Like, it was a lot.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. I could throw a ball, but then understanding the game. And so the quarterback at that time was Rich Gannon, who actually we played against each other in the Super Bowl later on. I just remember it was time for me to grow up, a time for me to learn system football. I was a late bloomer, and I was fortunate enough. Some guys are thrown into the fire too fast. If I would have played my rookie year, I might have played one game, and then I might have had to retire, you know. So I didn't play. I didn't get to start for about my first 3-4 years, to be honest with you. I barely got any reps in the practice. I didn't get any reps. I didn't get scout team reps. The number 2 guy got reps. So my reps were on Tuesday afternoons. I'd go throw with a buddy of mine, Chris Walsh, or I'd set up the nets and throw against those. And so I spent that first 2 years just learning the system. So, you know, my dad said to me, Brad, it's always better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than have an opportunity and not be prepared. So I was fortunate enough. I wasn't thrown into the fire too fast. And when my moment did come 3 or 4 years later, I was ready.
Man, that's incredible.
So you were involved in the first season of the World League. What was that like, going to London and playing spring football in the new league and getting an opportunity actually to play regularly?
Yeah. Can you hear me clear?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm recharging my battery. Sorry about this, guys.
No, you're good, man. You're definitely good.
1 second.
All right.
You got me? Yeah. So the World League took place like in 1991, and then it went away. And so there were like 6 teams in Europe, 6 teams in America, kind of all over the place. Well, in 1995, the league came back, and it was sponsored through the NFL. It was called NFL World League at that time. Then it became NFL Europe. And I'd been, 3 or 4 years with the Vikings and really hadn't had any playing time. The starters were Rich Gannon, then Jim McMahon came in. Then I actually learned a lot of football, honestly, from Warren Moon, just how he handled himself. Obviously, he could throw the football, but there's so much more than just throwing the football. But learned a lot from him. But I wouldn't get a chance to play. I was great in practice, but I was great in 2 minutes. But no one's getting to see this. And I said, if I'm going to have a career, it's not, I got to be ready. I need reps.
Right.
So I went to the Vikings. I said, hey, this new league's coming out. So they put me with the London Monarchs. I started 10 games. We had a training camp. This was in the off-season. Training camp was in Atlanta for a month. Went and lived over in London for 2.5, 3 months. Played through a season. Best thing for me because I got to make plays. I got to make mistakes.
Right.
And I learned from those mistakes. I got to lead my own team. And so it was awesome. It wasn't that league, honestly. Myself, Kurt Warner, Jay Fiedler, a couple other guys made it.
Yeah.
It wasn't for everybody. I'm going to be honest with you. It was tough.
Right.
Tough. And so I made it, ended up having a career, came back to the Vikings. Warren Moon got hurt, and then I got my opportunity to play. So when you get opportunities to back up, either the starter quarterback needs to be in a contract year or he needs to get hurt or play bad. Warren Moon never played bad. He wasn't in a contract year. And then he got hurt, which was my opportunity. I was in a contract year, then I took off for that. But NFL Europe was a blessing to me.
Okay. Wow. All right. So after that, that was when you went to. That's how you got to Washington, right? Were you a free agent?
Well, no. I went. What happened? Minnesota Vikings. I had a major neck injury in 19.
That's right.
And then they brought in Randall Cunningham. So I started the first 2 games of the season with the Vikings that year, and then I broke my ankle. In the second game of the season, Randall Cunningham came in. He played great. That was the year of Randy Moss, went 15-1. Randall got hurt game 9, I think it was, to the Saints. I come in and play the game after wearing a cast for 7 weeks, win the game. At the end of the game, I broke my thumb. So I don't know if you remember the movie Rocky Balboa or Rocky and Apollo Creed. They're in the hospital. And after the Saints game, me and Randall Cunningham and our wives are sitting in this hospital. He gets, who's going to play? Who's going to play? So he gets his CAT scan. He ends up doing knee surgery the next day and ends up playing the next week. I put a cast on my thumb. I was out for another 6 weeks and done for the season. So it was weird how it happened, but then I got traded after that season, went to Washington Redskins.
Nice, man. That's crazy to me, man. Like you said, the whole Rocky thing. Like just all 3 guys just sitting in the hospital, like who's gonna play? You know what I mean? Yeah. You can't make this shit up, man.
Yeah, it was real. We're sitting there, our wives like, my husband's the best quarterback. I'm the best quarterback. Neither one of us could walk or throw a ball that day, So
So tell us about your experience with Washington, man. So I mean,
I had a quick question. So you were the first person with the Vikings. You threw a touchdown pass to yourself. First person in NFL history to do that.
Yeah.
And so what was that like? What was the play like? What was the process?
I didn't even know
that. Yeah, in 1997, we were on the 3-yard line. We're playing the Carolina Panthers. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
We were on the 3-yard line. The play was called Dot Left Spear Rip Dallas. And basically, it's a 3-step throw to my left, throwing to a tight end on a stick route. The ball got batted up to me. It came back to me. So I knew the rule. You can't throw the ball a double pass forward. Usually you would knock the ball down. You would not want to take a sack. But I knew if I took a sack, we'd be on the 8-yard line. We could still kick a field goal because it's fourth down. But I catch it, I scramble, dive into the end zone. We didn't know if it was what it was. and then after the game, the guy said, if you throw a pass, there's a touchdown pass, a touchdown catch, and you get both of them. It's Johnson to Johnson, you know? It ended up being 12 points for fantasy football, won an ESPY award, first one to ever do it. And Marcus Mariota, he did it later, but
yeah, he did. Yeah,
it never happened. But usually, if I was on the 8-yard line, I'd have been about 2 yards short. But because I was on 3-yard line, I was making 1 yard in the end zone.
Hey, Z, good thing you brought that up because I forgot all about that. You know what I mean? That's an historic moment, you know. But so tell us a little bit about your Washington career, man. Like, what were you doing? What was your goal going into there? You had some great seasons with them, man. Tell us about your experience in Washington.
Yeah, I got traded there. The first meeting I had was North Turner. Denny Green, they traded me like a first, second, third round pick kind of deal. And I go there. I actually was still recovering from my knee surgery I had that same year. But playing for North Turner was awesome. I loved it. He had Troy Aikman. So I knew. And then in Washington, it was always like in those early years, they had some disarray. They were going through stadium changes and just trying to figure out the team and stuff. So I got in there, learned the system. It was a 3-digit system, which was a little bit different than the one I played with in Minnesota. But Norv was really a great play caller, understood. He was great at the play action game, running game.
Oh, yeah.
Take shots down the field. I felt like it was a really good fit for us being together. So the first year I threw for 4,000 yards, which at that time the rules were different. So it was a bigger deal than it is nowadays. But we won the division, which they hadn't sniffed it in a long time. Beat San Fran on a night game out there in overtime, threw 471 yards to go to the playoffs. We won our first playoff game against Detroit. I don't know if you remember the fight we got into.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit. What happened? Tell us about that.
Let me tell you what. So the first playoff, in the game, we're winning like 27-3 or something.
Yeah.
And I throw a pick. I throw a bad pick. It was a bad pick. And then they intercept it, and they teach the defensive lineman to come after the quarterback. And Robert Porcher comes after me, and I grabbed him by the face mask. We went at it.
You was not having it.
The whole team broke out. It was over like $250,000 worth of fines and stuff. So this fight takes place, and we ended up winning the game. And so after in February, I get this fine sheet from the NFL. It says, Brad, you've been fined $12,500. I said, okay. Well, how much was Robert Porcher fined? He said $10,000. I said, hold on.
Yeah, right. Like,
I said, he started the fight. They said, no, Brad, you were upset you threw the pick. I said, how do you know I'm upset? We're winning the game.
Exactly.
Can you read my mind? I'm upset. Well, they said, you had to be through an interception. I said, we won the game. I was okay with it. You know? I said, you know what? I said, here's the deal. I'll pay the fine, but you need to write Robert Porcher a letter that I kicked his ass. Put an extra $2,500. You know I was just in that kind of mode. So we won the game.
Yeah.
Crazy. But and then the next week we lost a crazy game down in Tampa to go to the NFC Championship. But I enjoyed my time in Washington. The second year, I went 7-4 as a starter, and the team went 8-8 as a whole.
Right.
Crazy year. Thought we'd had a better year, but some weird things took place. But I enjoyed my time playing for Washington, no doubt about it.
That's nice, man. And then ultimately, so how did you get to Tampa? Was it via free agency or trade?
I was a free agent.
Okay. And so what was the reason why you signed with Tampa?
Yeah. To be honest, there were two other teams involved, Kansas City and Baltimore.
Okay.
I had a great relationship with Brian Billick, who was the play caller for me in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to happen there, but they just won a Super Bowl. And when we did the contract negotiations, there was a better contract in Tampa. And I felt like it was a more secure contract. And then my wife and my agent started talking to me like, Tampa's never won a Super Bowl before. Baltimore just won it. With Trent Dilfer, they'd won it maybe with Johnny Unitas back in the day. But Tampa's never has won it. And so I think a more secure contract and the potential of being the first quarterback to win it for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was more enticing to me. And I knew a lot of guys in Tampa. The Derrick Brooks, Ward Dunn, Tony Dungy. I'd been with him for 3 years in Minnesota. Monty Kiffin was the defensive coordinator. I knew more guys in Tampa, so it just made more sense to go to be a Buccaneer.
Nice. So you go there. You go to the Bucs in 2001. Tell us a little about that first season with the Bucs, man. I mean, you had a solid season. I mean, you put up some yards and points, and for the Bucs. Tell us about that first season, 2001.
Yeah, we went 9-7 that season. So I'll be honest with you, I thought we overachieved to go 9-7. As
really?
Good as we thought we were. I didn't think we didn't have the guns to win.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I thought that's how it wasn't. We got beat in the playoffs by the Philadelphia Eagles. It wasn't a good showing for us in the playoffs, but I thought we did really well to go 9-7. To be honest with you. Right. So the next year they made a change. We thought Tony was going to be the head coach again. He told us he was going to be there, and they said he wasn't good enough. And he went on to Indianapolis Colts, and he went to the Super Bowl in Indianapolis, and then becomes the Hall of Fame coach and one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Yep, the great Tony Dungy.
Sometimes, it was a blessing in disguise for him also. Yep. So it worked out for him. And but then John Gruden came in. John came in. He upgraded a lot of our talent. I'll be honest with you. Very similar to the 21 Bucs here this year. Actually, we talk about that too. But John Gruden, he brought in 15 to 19 free agents. Joe Jurevicius and Keenan McCardell and Robin Owen, Cage Jenkins, Michael Pittman, and Ricky Dudley and Ken Dilger. I mean, so we
tons of guys.
And he challenged us to gave us the belief and challenged us that we were going to win a Super Bowl that year. And we had a lot of veterans. And we came through. Obviously, had a tremendous defense that year. What people don't realize is every time there was a turnover, we scored. Every time there was a turnover, we scored. Whether it was a field goal or touchdown, we also scored in the red zone every time that year. Even if it wasn't a touchdown, it was a field goal. So it was a really good, solid team. Went 3-1 every 4 games. Ended up the season 12-4, and then got hot in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Definitely got hot in the playoffs. So I can remember the first game, was that against, was it the Giants or the 49ers? I can remember.
In the playoffs or?
In the playoffs. Yeah.
We had a bye the very first week. So
bye first week.
A couple things took place. Okay, the last game of the season, we beat the Chicago Bears.
Right.
The last game
at Soldier Field.
That night, the Green Bay Packers, they lost to Indianapolis. They lost to New York Jets, I think. Okay. So they ended up losing a seed. So it was weird how it all worked out. So we ended up, the very first week we had a bye. That week, that's when the great San Francisco 49ers came from behind and beat the New York Giants. The Giants were up like 27 points or something weird.
Yeah, it was crazy, yeah.
So then they had to come to us. I think they were flat. They came in our stadium. We knocked them out of the stadium, sent them home fast. And then the next week went to Philadelphia, a team that had beaten us a couple times in the playoffs the years before. They beat us October 20th early in the season, like 20-10, but it felt like it's 45-0. They were a star-studded team. It's going to be the last game of the vet. It's going to be cold. We went up there. John Gruden said, "Listen, it's cold. There's probably going to be something bad that happens the beginning of the game." They ran the kickoff back to our like 25-yard line. Deuce Staley, he runs the next play for a touchdown. Now I'm looking at thermometers at like 15 degrees. They had the white towel flying, and Gruden said, "Don't panic. Just believe in the process, believe in our game plan, believe in the players that are with us." And as the game took place, a lot of plays took place in that game, but I ended up winning that game 27-10, shutting down the vet, last game ever in that stadium. And that game, because of Philadelphia Eagles being our nemesis, it might have been a bigger game for us than the Super Bowl, to be honest with you.
It was, man. I just remember watching that game because in years past, it just seemed like the Bucs just had a bad matchup with Philadelphia. It would just be the defense and, the offense couldn't score no points. And then, like you said, I was just happy to see them. I mean, they conquered so many things. They conquered the winning in the cold thing I think it was some crazy stat. They were like 0 and like 19 and under a certain degrees and some crazy shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was just thinking like, okay, these guys are from Tampa. Like you said, even John said, I mean, it is cold out there. But for you as a quarterback, do you really feel it?
You get it's different. You know what I mean? So if it's you just get used to the elements, and you're not used to the ball is different. The balls, those are brand new balls. They were slick coming out of the box. I wore a glove that game for the first time in my career, not to stay warm, but to actually grip the ball. I had like a sticky substance to hold on to the ball. It's different. You know what I mean? Just dealing with what are the clothes you're going to wear, what kind of spikes you need to have in your shoes, so you're just not used to the elements. And so at the end of the day, I mean, is there a difference? Yeah, it is. You got to be able to deal with it. But honestly, going back to that Chicago Bear game, that was a cold game also. So kind of got used to a little bit of the elements, and then Philadelphia, not even the cold. It was, they had a great team. They got a lot of guys that ended up making the Hall of Fame themselves. So it's just two great teams. They had our number, and it's finally time that we took their number.
Oh yeah. All right. So I mean, you win that game, man, and then you got to shut down the vet, and then you go to the Super Bowl, right? So tell us about your Super Bowl experience. Like, tell us your leading up to it, and then actually the game itself.
Yeah, and going against Rich Gannon, full circle for your career from the beginning all the.
Yeah, you probably need about a 6-hour podcast for this one, but I mean, it was crazy. But usually there's 2 weeks in between every game. Between the Super Bowl and the championship game. There was only 1 week. The team we flew out on Monday after the game on Sunday night with Philadelphia. The coaches stayed back. They did the game plan on Monday and Tuesday. They rented Mark Cuban's plane. They flew out late. Coach Gruden put in Simeon Rice and Warren Sapp to be to do bed curfew check. You know what I mean?
What? Why those two though? Why Warren? Like I said, I don't know them. You know them obviously better than I do. But Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice.
Yeah, he gave them responsibility. He gave them responsibility.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the only way he did. But it was a great week. And what's hard, what people don't understand, they give you 2 tickets, okay, but then you get the right to buy like 8 more. So I ended up having 10 tickets. I bought 10 other tickets from someone else. I had 20 tickets. So within the course of the week, you're buying tickets for family members. You're trying to get plane flights for everybody. You're trying to get hotels for everybody.
Yeah.
So that game, I mean, you have all your long lost friends are trying to get to the game. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Who's coming? Well, I mean, it's hard to decide. I got my family, I got my best friend, I got my high school coach. I mean, you only get so many tickets, So, but it's pretty awesome. So the night before the game, I was really at peace. I was ready to just play the game. Just play the game. Been through a long season. So, I woke up. You got to go to the game a lot earlier than usual, going through check and everything. So it was pretty cool. You come out for warm-ups, and it's one of those days that you don't get tired. You're pumped up. You're excited.
Ready to play.
Celine Dion, she sang God Bless America. The Dixie Chicks, they sang the national anthem. And, I mean, you're just ready. Like, all your life, you've been sitting there. You've been watching this game sitting on your couch.
Yeah.
And now you're out there.
Now you're part of it.
Man. You know what I mean? Heads or tails. Rice and Tim Brown and Rich Gannon and
oh my God, star stud.
I mean, here we go, baby. So
yeah.
but it was awesome. The first quarter was kind of slow. Honestly, just getting used to. I think I started out the game like 4 for 13. I had like 6 throwaways. Had one ball that got picked with the play was called trips right. Zebra left 58 Delta Zebra choice. It was kind of a stutter go by Keenan McCardell and Charles Woodson. Keenan kind of beat me. I get hit, ball gets popped up in the air, and then I ain't got any friends. Everybody's like, you're throwing picks out there.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not pointing any fingers. I got hit,
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, but the game got going. It slowed down the second quarter, got hot. We took it down. We scored a field goal early in the game. Then we Mike Allstott runs a play called Green Right Close, 14 blast for a touchdown. Then at the end of the half, got a play called South Right Nickel 41 kill 374 wasp. Basically, it was a draw play or a fade stop to Kenny McCardell for single press. And he was great at it and just kind of threw it to a spot and threw a touchdown. So we went up 23 at the half. Coming out the third quarter, had an 89-yard drive. We had this play called, all my life, I'm going to be honest with you guys, like everybody said, you're too slow, Brad. You're too slow. When I had my first meeting with John Gruden, he's like, who can make it? You going to be able to make a play with your feet this year, Brad? I always have quarterbacks that make plays with their feet.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I can make a play, coach. I can make a play. He says, we had all year. Well, I'm going to make one the Super Bowl, coach. So so it's 3rd and 9. 3rd and 9, we got this play called triple right, F short, 72 crisscross wide swing. So everybody remembers the great John Elway. They set the John Elway moment, you know?
Right. Yeah.
They got helicopter and stuff. Well, 3rd and 9, Big Man Brad gets to have his moment. Here's the moment.
Hey.
You see that?
Yeah.
That's
Oh my gosh.
That was the first down play. Nobody remembers it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I remember.
Yeah, you remember. You got it framed and
We
everything.
don't win that game.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers that. We go down. We score a touchdown. Throw a touchdown to Keenan Cardell. Bunch right tight. 72 scat Z jerk. And then we go up. And we're up 34-3. And then Rich Gannon throws Jerry Porter a touchdown pass on a post.
That was not a touchdown. Dude, let me ask you. It was not a touchdown.
Yeah, remember Gruden said, are you out of your skull?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
He was hot, but they started going to 2 every time they scored a touchdown.
Right.
Jerry Porter scored that touchdown. They gave it to him. They blocked a punt. Then they hit Jerry Rice on another post, 34-21. The game's getting close. Yeah. And then about 6-7 minutes to go in the game, we kind of closed the game out. They had a couple picks at the end of the game to win it. And then, that was the awesome moment I was telling you about. The confetti was falling and holding my son Max and saying we're going to Disney.
That's
my
beautiful,
wife,
man.
Jake, was pregnant with Jake. And then let me tell you all the craziest thing after the game, though.
What's that?
So the way they do the interviews at the Super Bowl in San Diego, you had to go out and take these golf carts, and you had to go out there in the parking lot, little tents.
Okay.
So I did interviews out there for about 45 minutes. I come back in the stadium, do a couple. Remember the George Michael Sports Machine? Doing all these shows. So when I go take a quick shower. Now everybody's kind of gone.
Right. Like, where's everybody at?
Exactly. I walk out of the locker room with my wife, Nikki, my marketing agent. His name was Brian Lammy.
Okay.
And we go, there goes the bus.
Hold up.
So some guys were walking by. They said, "Hey, good game, Brad." I said, "Yeah, man, thanks. Hey, we need a ride."
Literally, we need. Yeah, they left you.
Something like this. So I'm hitchhiking out there in San Diego Stadium.
You're kidding! The Super Bowl winning QB hitchhiking. Come on now.
So we're all 3 in the back seat. Nikki and my wife. She's in the middle. Lammy's on the other side.
Oh, man.
I said, "Listen, can y'all stop?" Hey, I tell the driver, I said, "Man, you got to do me. You got to stop at the Circle K up here. I need." So we got a 12-pack and popping some tops in the back, man.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's ever known that, but that's what we did.
I did not know that. Oh my God.
Went back to the team hotel. We had a team party.
Yeah.
Slept in my Buck jersey. Want to wake up in the morning, smell like a champ. Did a Good Morning America with interview at like 4:30 in the morning because East Coast time, West Coast time.
Yeah.
On a 7:00 flight, private plane down to Anaheim for the Disney parade down there. Ride with Captain Hook going on the Tilt-A-Whirl. And then did the Jay Leno show. They called an all-night flight back to red eye back to Tampa. Did the team parade there. It was pretty cool. The parade was pretty awesome. And And then
sounds
caught
tiring.
a flight back on Wednesday, went back to the Pro Bowl. So for about 3 days, I didn't sleep. It was pretty wild.
Bro, it sounds exhausting. You know what I mean? It's like at that point, you're probably like, man, I'd rather we just lose that motherfucking Super Bowl. Like, I don't want to win the Super Bowl ever again. Just because of all the stuff you got to do that comes along with it, right?
It takes work after the game, too, you know?
Yeah. That is crazy, man. But like I said, for me as a Bucs fan, just watching that game, like I said, always been a Bucs fan, just seeing you help them get over that hump because, and like you said, just with John coming in, bringing his nuances, some of his great free agents, like you said, I mean, the Ricky Dudleys and the Robin Obens and the Michael Pittmans and the Keenan McCardells, man. You guys were not only defense that year, you guys had a solid offense. You know what I mean? There were some games during the regular season, I didn't touch on them, that, I mean, you guys put points up on the board and you had to win some games.
Yeah. What people don't realize, like our defense was phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. I have 3 Hall of Famers now with Warren Sapp, Derrick Brooks, and John Lynch, and hopefully Rondé Barber and Simeon Rice get in there too.
They definitely will be in.
We scored a lot more points than people think, and just didn't get a lot of the attention. So a lot of times when we'd actually score a lot of points in the first half, but the second half, the way the plays were called, would actually kind of kill the clock. So you weren't getting crazy numbers, you weren't getting certain stats that people just look at, but we're putting people away. So that's where kind of the numbers kind of get confusing sometimes for people. You might throw for 190 yards in the first half, you might throw for 30, just closing games out. So that's kind of
right. Yeah, I vividly remember games. I think it was like Cincinnati and like the Panthers and the Falcons. Like I said, you guys were winning and you knew you were going to win. You were kind of just killing clock. You know what I mean? Just want to get the game over with. But like you said, those teams had offense, man. And then your connection, I noticed you had a great connection with Keenan McCardle, man. Like, tell us about Keenan. He just seemed like he was a great route runner. He was always open. Keyshawn was great too, but it just seemed like Keenan, he just seemed like he was always open, literally.
Yeah, our starting receivers were, Keyshawn Johnson and Joe Vicious and Keenan McCardle. Keenan is a very underrated player. Doesn't get
very underrated.
A lot of attention. He was phenomenal, especially in Jacksonville. Him with Jimmy Smith.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Keenan was really, really smart, tough guy, very team player, tremendous hands and great awareness for the game. Caught 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl, but he could have won a couple more. Now he's been coaching in the NFL for a long time, and he's with the Minnesota Vikings as their receivers coach now. But Keenan was his body was easy to read as a route runner. He knew where the holes were. I think he's got, around 900 catches, something like that. So phenomenal career he had. And we don't win it if we don't make that move for him in free agency that year. Right. It was a big move by Gruden bringing him in.
It was. He made some big moves, man. Tell us a little bit about, man, just handing the ball off to Mike Allstar. I know a lot of Bucs fans in the group, they want to hear about some stories about A-Train, man. Like, tell us about Mike, man. It just seemed like even me, like, I remember dressing up as Halloween as Mike Allstar, a little fucking black kid, dressing up as Mike Allstar, got the jersey, got the fucking neck roll, you know what I mean? Like, tell us about Mike, man.
Yeah, Mike's still walking around with the neck roll when he goes to pump. He's got some big old biceps, big old thighs. Yeah. Number 40, the A-Train, All-Star up the gut, number 40. And I remember there was one game that year we were playing the Cleveland Browns, and it was, I promise you, it was 129 degrees. And I was wigged out. It was so hot. And we couldn't get a first down, but all we did was just give the ball to Mike.
Give the ball to Mike.
I think it was one play, he had like 9 guys trying to tackle him. You can find
I remember.
On YouTube somewhere. It was unbelievable. And he's just a warrior, tough guy, committed to the Bucs. He's still down there. He's coaching high school football, but guy that loved the game, got committed to his teammates. And, just he's in the Ring of Honor at Tampa. So it's pretty awesome to say he's a teammate, but he's a warrior kind of guy. And what you saw is what you got with Mike.
Yeah, that's great, man. So tell us about – go ahead. Oh, he must have cut out.
Same wide receivers. Yeah, from T.O. to Randy Moss to Chris Carter.
Yeah.
What was
I played
what
with
was
some
it like
great
with all the Hall of
receivers.
Fame receivers?
Yeah. Minnesota, I was fortunate enough, guys, I threw Tim Brown and Chris Carter their 100th touchdown pass.
Man, so you're a legend.
Threw Randy Moss his first touchdown pass. I threw Champ Bailey his first pass. I threw Warren Sapp his first touchdown pass.
Yep, remember that.
First touchdown pass. But I played with some great players. I mean, Minnesota, we had Jake Reed and Randy Moss and a guy named Marcus Robinson and Nate Morris eventually came in. And Washington, I had Urban Fryer for just a little bit, and Michael Westbrook and Albert Connell, fast guys. And then Tampa, we had Keyshawn Johnson, Kenny McCardell, Joe Jaravicius. And then I finished my career back in Dallas, and I wasn't playing at that time, but I had Jason Witten, tight end, who'll be a Hall of Fame here in a few years, and Terrell Owens, who's in the Hall of Fame. So I played with Andre Reed. He came to Washington at the very end of his career. So,
I remember that.
A couple guys I played was pretty cool. Running back was Larry Centers. He's got around 900 catches and ample lead. So had Ward Dunn in the backfield, and Stephen Davis, Michael Pittman, and Robert Smith. So when I look back at my career, like, those were dudes. They were guys that loved football. They were great teammates. You can say prima donnas, but they loved to win. They loved to work and practice. All those kind of things. All of them did. So it's pretty awesome to say there were a lot of guys that made Hall of Fame now, you know?
Yeah. Man, what was it like going up against that defense every day in practice, man? Like, just the lights of Derrick Brooks, John Lynch, and Warren Sapp, literally at all three levels, man. Like,
you remember that movie, Rocky III? At the end of the movie,
with Clubber Lang.
The fight.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And then Apollo says, "Ding, ding."
Yeah.
Yeah. So every day when you came to practice, it was ring the bell, ding, ding. So, I mean, you're trying to win every day, and but a lot of respect for everybody on there. You knew there were a lot of Pro Bowlers, there was great players and legends, but at the end of the day, you want to do your job and the great competition. And that was the thing where, like, honestly, I remember Herm Edwards. John Lynch was my roommate. He's getting ready to Hall of Fame this week. And then Herm Edwards said, he told Lynch, he said, "Lynch, let me tell you one thing. I'm going to give you one piece of advice for your career, Lynch." He says, "In practice, don't ever tackle Mike Allstott. He will break your collarbone." So he never did. They never hit each other in practice. They did hit each other one time, and when John went to Denver, we played them. That was the only time they ever hit. So
that is great, man. Stories. So let's transition, man. Let's talk a little bit about Bucs football last season, man. Just winning the Super Bowl. What's your short and skinny on that?
Yeah, we won the Super Bowl in 2003. In 18 years, they haven't sniffed the playoffs as far as winning a playoff game.
Nah, not at all.
I felt like the last couple of years, Tampa had a tremendous defense.
Yeah.
But they weren't getting rewarded just for, probably some of the turnovers and stuff that was kind of taking place. And so they made a huge move, Tampa did, by bringing in Tom Brady. Guys won. Now he's won seven Super Bowls. He lost 3 others. He went to 4 other AFC championship games. And then they made a lot of moves, very similar to our past year. When we brought in that many free agents, they brought in, I think, 10 this past year.
Sure did.
Guys that were, especially on the offensive end, they scored 145 points off of turnovers during the regular season. They scored 45 off of turnovers in the playoffs. They won 3 road games in Washington. It was probably their hardest game. The Saints game, defense dominated, and they win the game up in Green Bay, and then unbelievable performance in the Super Bowl. So, but it took someone of Brady's accountability, work ethic in practice, and and the moves they made in free agency, and they believed. That's the word I would use for us in 2003. That's the word I would use for them in 2021. They believed that they were good enough, and then they came through with the talent that they had.
They did, man. That's impressive, man. Hopefully they win again. You know what I mean? It's yet to be seen, but we hope they win again. But Super Bowl champion QB Brad Johnson joined us, 2-time Pro Bowler. Bucs fans, you got your wish. We're gonna close out the show. Brad, is there anybody you want to shout out, man, or before leaving out of here, brother?
No, I'm thankful for all the coaches that I played for. The Denny Greens and Brian Billets and North Turners, and obviously Tony Dungy bringing me to Tampa, and John Gruden, Wade Phillips, and Mike Tice throughout my career. I played with some great coaches, unbelievable players, but I'm thankful for my time in Tampa. Obviously we have a bunch of reunions back there and everything, but I'm thankful for all the fan support and thankful for the opportunity to lead the Bucs to bring in the first Lombardi there to Tampa, and so it's pretty awesome,
Yeah, man, you're a game changer. Like I said, you're number one in the Bucs fans' hearts, man. So Brad Johnson, Bucs fans, you got your wish, man. But we're gonna close out our show. Thanks for tuning into the show, everybody. Charge it to the game. I'm your host, Rome, Big Z, and Brad Johnson.